You are now listening to Fighting for Your Life podcast. I am your host, Miguel Ramirez. And on today's episode, we have a black belt, a doctor, one of our training partners from Farias Jiu-Jitsu, Doc Gerson.
What's
Welcome
up,
to the
man?
show, dude.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on. Appreciate you doing
It's
this.
so cool to be here.
Yeah. Back for the second time. This time
That's right. First one was at the grand opening.
at Revive.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. I
yeah.
think it was Revive.
Yeah, that
It was
fun.
there or Rick's, one of the two.
I can't remember. Maybe it was Rick's. I don't.
I think it was Revive, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Good time, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're back again, fresh out of work.
Fresh out of work.
Yeah.
Had to work this morning. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah.
So
I work too much.
yeah,
Too much.
dude. So you've been there at Farias Jiu-Jitsu since I started, and it's been a while now, almost 7 years.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
been a minute. I think I started with him. Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
Yeah,
It's been a while. It's been like, I think I was probably four. It's probably like 2010, 2011, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're the OG doc of the team.
Yeah, when I was there, so when I started, Paris was a blue belt.
Okay.
Parker was a blue belt.
No way.
Yeah. And I think the highest belt was Drew Mora. Do you know Drew?
I don't think I met Drew.
So Drew is his first black belt. Drew's Carlos's first black belt.
Okay.
And he, at that time, I think he was either just at the end of purple or just got his brown belt. So that's how far back I go.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah. Like we were just talking a little while ago with my stepdad about like finding medical help when you're doing jiu-jitsu, and like we were saying like every team has like the doc, right?
Yeah.
And you're probably the OG doc of the team, right? You're the first one.
I think I was the first one. I brought a couple of my buddies in from work.
Yeah, we have a few more now,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're the first.
Yeah, but I was the first, and everybody. Everybody comes to me. Everybody,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
from having a hangnail to,
Yeah.
back problems, whatever.
I think when I started back in, was it like 2019? I don't know if maybe you were at like maybe a high purple belt, maybe probably brown belt already. Yeah. But yeah, dude, it was funny because I remember there was one time that I don't know if you remember this, when I was helping with the kids class.
Yeah.
And the rib.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into injuries obviously and all that kind of stuff with jiu-jitsu. But this was just a funny story. So when I had first started, it was like, I think it was like less than 6 months in. Somebody was on top of me. They had my legs grapevine, and I went, like, I didn't know what to do. So I was like, you know what? Instead of like struggling and spazzing out like a white belt does, I was like, I'm just going to take a breath, because like I'm holding everything tight. They're just like smashing me.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to take a breath, and then I'm just going to see if I can just push them off, like use some strength and get them off. And as soon as I let the pressure off to take a breath, I felt just a pop in the ribs, and I was like, oh shit, it hurt bad. Yeah. So then I'm looking up, this is the funniest thing, I'm looking up stuff on the internet, like you do when you get hurt, and I get on Reddit, and the funniest thing happens is I'm asking for help on Reddit, like, hey, anybody ever trained through a rib injury and this and that, and if you've had one, they're terrible.
They're the worst.
Dude, the guy that did it to me from our gym happens to be on Reddit.
He answered you?
Sees my post and answers me. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now?
No.
I'm like, what are the chances? So anyway, I'm looking stuff up, and it's like, you got to just wait it out, right?
That's all you can do.
Give it time. So I didn't wait long enough, and I'm like getting back into it a little bit. Like, it's feeling good, but they say like you're supposed to wait weeks after you don't feel anything.
Yeah,
right.
Depending on what the injury is, right?
Yeah.
So there's dislocation, there's fractures, there's all kinds of different things that you can do. But yeah, you usually want to wait till it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah. So we're doing this kids class thing, and we're showing the new kids how to break fall, and I'm helping with this. Rob's on the mat, and as soon as I'm showing this little white belt, this girl, how to do this break fall, and as soon as my ass hit the mat, like I felt like I got shot. I thought I was good. I felt like I got shot. The rib just exploded all over again. Dude, it was terrible. And I can't imagine what she would have been thinking. Like, what the hell? This guy's supposed
I'm not
to
doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy.
She never came back.
yeah, right. Dude.
I had a rib injury one time. I can't remember what it was, but I had a tournament coming up.
Yeah.
And when you have a tournament coming up, you don't want to pull out for
right.
just bullshit reasons, like,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so I went to a guy who does PRP injections, and I went to him, and he's like, "Yeah, we can definitely do something for you." You know, I think I was scheduled to. The tournament was like in a week, so we did PRP, and he took the needle and put it right into the fracture. Like, that's what they do. They put it right in the fracture, and then they inject.
Oh,
and he did that, and I mean, I about came off the table. So he's like, "Oh, I've got nitrous. If you want to, you know, like,
oh my God,
if you want to breathe nitrous, maybe that'll help." So I was like, "Whatever you got, just give it to me."
Yeah.
So I put the mask on, and I'm breathing as deep as I can to get as much nitrous into my lungs.
Wow,
as I can.
dude, that's.
Did it again. I came off the table. So I was like, "Wait, just give me about 15 minutes."
Yeah.
I get up. I go out of the office. He was right next to a Chipotle, and I slammed 4 margaritas. You know, they sell margaritas at Chipotle.
Really?
Yeah.
I know they had beers and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
They sell margaritas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I slammed 4 of them as fast as I could. Went back in, had him give me the nitrous
Finish it up,
again,
Doc.
and I was like, "Go, just do it." And it was still so painful,
dude.
So painful. But I competed. I think I did pretty well. I don't remember
really,
exactly, but yeah,
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you had a good experience with that? What is it?
That was awful.
PRP. Well, I'm saying like the recovery and all that.
It actually, because it started feeling better like 2 days later. Like,
really?
Yeah,
okay.
It was sore. It was real. I couldn't breathe for like 2 days after it.
Yeah.
But then it was way better.
Dude, there's some of them like you jam fingers or whatever, you tape them together and keep going. But dude, like a rib injury, like that is one that you really think about. Like I don't know if I want to compete because I mean, you end up even just a takedown and it's
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I've had some bad injuries.
Yeah.
I've had some big ones. Yeah. So,
dude, so how long has it been now that you've been training jiu-jitsu?
Well, I started jiu-jitsu in 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
And then I stopped.
Okay.
I moved from Texas to here.
How long did you do it back then?
Like a year.
Okay.
Probably at the most year.
Okay. So you got some fundamentals and that type of stuff.
Came out here and then just didn't do it because, got married, had kids and, all that. And then I started again in 2010, 2011, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So you've been at it for a little bit now.
A little bit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dude, and you've also been I saw you were refereeing at the Veterans Breakthrough. Have you done any of that stuff?
That was fun, man.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You really you learn a lot more about strategy when you're reffing, because you can see what they're trying to. You can see it better than when you're doing it.
Like the setups and everything.
Yeah, like when you're in the middle of it, you're not really seeing it.
Right.
But when you're watching for points and you really see.
It's a different perspective to it. Right.
It adds to your game. I mean, everything adds to your game. Teaching does.
Right.
Reffing does. Doing it obviously does.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a different way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Although at that one, it was mostly our people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At the Veterans Breakthrough, so it was me reffing our guys against our guys. So I felt so bad. Like,
yeah, that's a tough one, right? Yeah. Who do I give the points to?
Yeah.
If you're looking at you, like, nah, don't give it to him.
That's exactly right. Like one of them was mad at me. Like,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it though that tournament is so cool just because it is like a family event.
It was. I want them to expand it because it's such a cool venue. It's such a cool,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the hangar and the aircraft and all that stuff in there. It's super, super cool.
Yeah. Speaking of the questions, one of the questions that we got from Kyle was, why don't you come to the 9 a.m. class anymore?
Kyle.
That's
the question.
Yeah, from Kyle. Actually, I got to get him over here.
He's such a dick.
Yeah,
he's the best.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Because Kyle, I have a job.
That's right. That's why he was like, he's gonna make up some bullshit excuse about he's got to work or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Got to go to work.
Yeah.
I actually I work 26 weeks on, 26 weeks off.
Oh, really? Okay.
Dang,
that's different.
Like it's like 2 on, 1 off, then 1 on. Just there's no rhyme or reason to it. But my weeks off, I come to 9 o'clock. So
so there you go, Kyle.
Yeah, there you
He'll
go.
be there when he's off.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I got to get them on because they got a tournament, I think, in April for Veterans Breakthrough. So if you guys are out here in Arizona, make sure you look it up because dude, it's so different than any of the other tournaments that are out here in the area or that I've seen, period.
Yeah, because it's, it's a tournament, but first and foremost, it's a fundraiser for veterans who are, coming back and struggling. And it it puts them in touch with jiu-jitsu schools and pays their tuition. And it's really, I mean, for the guys that are like PTSD, I mean, I have seen it firsthand. The guys at our gym who've come back,
yeah, for sure,
who are struggling, and this is the only way they can kind of work their stuff out. So it's a great charity. So if you're out here and you can do it,
yeah, for sure, definitely, it's a great thing to support. And for those of you that are in the military, you guys know, like, and jiu-jitsu, it's hard to find that type of community, outside of the military, outside of some of these things. And jiu-jitsu is a great way to do it. So,
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely check out the next tournament tool. And I got to get Kyle on before the next one so that he's great. We can push that
there's
one.
Something about,
for sure.
There's something about, I don't want to compare what we do with the military. That's what they do is a whole different bag, but there's something about bleeding with people. You know what I mean? Like digging deep and,
it's just being that there's no way you don't get close, like when you're in such close proximity, like you're on top of each other, crushing
trying
each
to
other,
strangle
like,
each other.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is.
And then you smile afterwards,
get
like,
a beer.
damn, that was a good one,
awesome.
right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of get with you on some of these like medical questions, because I've ran into some issues. Anybody that's practiced jiu-jitsu for a certain period of time, you're gonna have injuries, you're gonna have some stuff, and I'm like a regular dude with a regular job that happens to like jiu-jitsu, that happens to have a podcast on the side, and some of these things and hobbies. And like, we're not professional athletes that have the advice. And sometimes, like, when I go to like the primary care, well, for one, if you get the sense that bring them in, kick them out, that's probably not the doctor for you. But then there's sometimes that it's just like, okay, take some Motrin, or it's like, how'd you do that? And it's like, well, I do jujitsu, and they're like, don't do that anymore. And I'm like, well, that's not what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? So for like the average person, how do you find a decent doctor for jujitsu?
It's so hard.
Or like athletic stuff, fighting.
So, first of all, I can't believe you sandbagged me with that.
What do you mean?
No, with the Kyle question. All right. But no, so like when it comes to like, you got to separate it. So there's primary care. Right?
Okay.
And that's the guy you go to make sure that, you don't have high blood pressure and you don't have diabetes and you're getting your colonoscopy when you need to get it. And you're all these things that, that's what your primary care is for. The primary care is not the guy you go to when you have an injury.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
They're just not. That's not what they're for. What you need, first thing I would tell anybody is that they have any kind of injury in jiu-jitsu is usually going to be musculoskeletal.
Okay.
Right? I mean, if it's beyond that, then you have to take it on a case by case basis. But most times it's going to be joints,
right?
Knees and elbows and wrists and shoulders and neck and all
back,
all
fingers.
Fingers. The fingers are different, man.
Fingers are jacked. Yeah.
All jacked. There's nothing to do for that.
Yeah, tape them up.
Just got to live through
keep it moving.
Yeah. But for that stuff, you need to go to an orthopedic surgeon who's a sports medicine specialist.
Okay.
Because the training they go through is, and when I say orthopedic surgeon, everybody says, "Oh, I don't want surgery." That's not what I mean. They can do surgery if that's what's required.
Okay.
But the training they go through is they look at mechanisms of injury, right?
Yeah.
And then they say, like, for instance, you tear your MCL, right? Well, first thing they're going to do is they're going to do an exam. They're going to ask how it happened. And then they're going to say, okay, well, let's get an MRI. And they're going to say, okay, yeah, it's torn.
Okay.
Then they got to grade the tear. Is it, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. So grade 1 and grade 2, you typically just immobilize, let it heal on itself. Grade 3 is a complete separation. They got to sew back together during surgery. So, those injuries have to be
evaluated.
You have to go to an expert. A primary care doctor cannot do those. They're not trained for that. And I'm afraid that they probably think they know what they're doing. That's the worst thing, is when you go to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, but they think they know what they're doing.
Right.
So every time I see somebody who has an injury like that, I'll send them to one of the guys that I know. Who,
right.
If it's a shoulder, I send them to a shoulder specialist. If it's back, I send them to a back specialist. Whatever it is.
Right.
But you can't think that going to your primary care doctor, the guy that you go
that he's gonna have the answer to whatever that
he won't
specific.
Yeah, he just won't.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like, I mean, I've been in the jiu-jitsu world long enough. And, I was an athlete before that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been to all kinds of doctors.
Yeah.
And I have it, I have an inside scoop.
Perspective on the whole
sure.
thing. True, right?
But I also have lived experience. And I've gone to primary care doctors with injuries. And you always, invariably, you end up disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been my my experience.
So you got to go to the right person. And it's different for every injury. And so that's kind of like, that's where my value is.
Okay.
I think in the gym, which is people come and they're like, hey, I did this. I'm like, okay, no, I got the guy for you. I'll set you up here.
Know who they need to see.
That's really the only value that I have.
Yeah, and you've done that with a few, because you've been in there with a few of the guys.
Yeah.
Like I know the gym that I moved to, Revive, our coach George, you sat with him during his back surgery, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really talk about specific
I'm sorry.
people. No, I mean,
HIPAA
I don't know
if I should have said
no,
that.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. But I can't talk about, specific injuries and people.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, I have some of my teammates. So I'm an anesthesiologist.
Okay, yeah.
For all those you don't know, which means that I put people to sleep for the surgery, wake them up safely, make sure they're safe during surgery while the surgeon tries to kill them. So,
you just like putting people to sleep, don't you?
I do.
That's why it's just all the way around.
I do. Let me tell you something. I'm the only person that has put Coach Carlos to sleep. I'm the only person.
Yeah.
I didn't do it in the gym.
Yeah.
I did it in the hospital.
Yeah.
But I put him to sleep. Yeah.
Dang, that's a good feather in the cap right there.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's crazy.
Hell yeah. And I did it like 3 times too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I'm an anesthesiologist, and so my brothers that get hurt, in the gym, I'll set them up with surgeons that either I know or I know of that are the best in that field. A lot of the ones I work with. Yeah. So if they need surgery, they come in and I'll put them to sleep, just because I feel like it kind of makes them feel better. They know somebody's in there. I'm looking after them, and
right.
Dude,
that's crazy. That's cool. Yeah. That's different.
And I've done it with a bunch of people.
Yeah, for sure.
In fact,
that's cool.
I can't tell the story without telling the person, but I won't tell the person.
Yeah. I
happened to be working one day. This is a really cool story. And maybe you'll have the guy on. I don't know. He can identify himself if he wants. But I'm walking through the pre-op area of the hospital, and I hear a guy just screaming in so much pain, right? And I'm walking down the hallway, and I hear that all the time, so I don't really pay attention to it. And then I hear, Doc. And I turn around because that's, that calls me Doc. And I turn around, and it's one of the guys I train with.
Yeah.
And he happened to be there. He's not there anymore. He didn't have the surgery. It was Tyler. I don't know if you remember Tyler.
Yeah.
Remember Tyler? Yeah. So he's like, Doc. I turn around. I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? He goes, come here. I walk over, and another one of the guys that we train with, he was with him, and his leg was just mangled. It wasn't a jiu-jitsu injury.
Yeah.
It was a work injury. But I happened to be there at that.
Wow.
And it was the strangest thing. And then I was like, I don't usually get to just pick whatever case I want to do. But I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'll jump in there and I'm going to do this with you. Like, I'll get you through this. Because he was like, he was a mess. An absolute
Man, that's
mess. Crazy. Yeah. And I did a couple of his surgeries, actually, because he had needed a couple after that. And he's awesome. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah. But he's just such a great guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I just like being there for my guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I've had like a couple, actually 3 that come to mind. I've had a few injuries where like I had a rib injury. Well, the rib injury. And then so that one ended up where, at least from my medical expertise and Google research, where the cartilage and the rib meet.
Yeah, it's a dislocation.
It separated right there. Because I went to a doctor and he told me like go get some X-rays done, and this was the worst. Like I wanted to choke that doctor because I'm looking down at my rib and it's like poking out.
Right.
And he's looking at my X-ray and he's like, it's not broken.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah.
And I'm like,
how do you square the two?
And he's like, yeah, it's not broken.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean?
So that's an injury where like there's nothing to do. You can't do anything. You can't put it back into place. You know, you can't really do surgery. You can do surgery, but it's a lot. It's a big surgery for very, very little
minimal.
Result, right?
Yeah.
So you just kind of let it heal. But a lot of guys, like, you're right. They'll look at an X-ray and be like, "Yep, you're good. Thanks." And
yeah.
you're like,
same.
What do you mean I'm good?
I had something similar thing where somebody landed on my shoulder, or they took one of my arms out, and all the weight just kind of collapsed down onto one shoulder. Same thing, doctor. Go get some X-rays. And I was like, dude, if this actually, the collarbone felt similar to the rib, and I was like, I know there's ribs up in here, and it was hard for me to breathe a little bit. I was like, maybe. And then he's like, get X-rays. He looks at the X-rays. He's like, no, nothing's broken. You're good. Keep it moving. So, but you know, like you said, you got to know who to go to.
You got to know who to go to, and not just that, but like an X-ray, all an X-ray shows you is bone.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't show you any soft tissue injury, right? You tear an ACL or an MCL or a rotator cuff, or X-ray won't show you anything. You can't tell anything from that.
Yeah.
X-ray will tell you if a bone is broken. That's it.
So what would be like, how do you know like what questions to ask? Like, cause for me at least, I have like a certain background, not in medical stuff, but I do like mechanical stuff. So at least for me, like troubleshooting, there's a thing. Like I had a rash on my arm where, you know, you do this stuff long enough, you get the rib, you get the shoulder, you get the rash, you get it all. Yeah. You'll collect them all eventually. And then, so I get this thing and I go to the doctor and he tells me, put this on. And then I put it on and it started going, or when I went, he was like, it's already going away. So you don't really need to do much. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, well, try this. And then it started coming back. And then I go back, but then it started going away. And he never tested anything at all. And then he was like, we'll just throw these 3 things at it. And if it's any of those, it'll kill it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, well, we never found out what it was.
Right. So dermatology is such a tough, it's so hard because there's a joke in medicine. Like, you know, dermatologists are they do 2 things. Like if it's wet, make it dry. If it's dry, make it wet. And that's like, they don't need to get to the bottom of it. They just want to make it better. So they'll put steroids on it. Usually that'll make it better if it's like an immune reaction.
Right. Yep.
Like
that's
right?
what.
But if you put steroid on it and it's an infection, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Right. So then you got to put antibiotic cream on it or antifungal cream on it or whatever it is.
That's what it was. They gave me the triple whatever. Yeah.
Right. So at the beginning, they just say, screw it. I don't want to see this guy back again. Just give him all 3.
Yeah.
Something's going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, skin stuff is tough. But I mean, the big thing that we get is the ringworm.
Okay.
Like the mat ringworm that everybody gets.
Yeah.
We've all had it.
Yeah.
And that's treatable over the counter with just like Myconazole or something cream, whatever.
Yeah.
Vagisil.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Sometimes that stuff comes around and then, you know, people start catching and then it goes away. But, yeah.
The biggest injuries, like the worst injuries, are knees.
Yeah.
Everybody gets caught with those knees. You know what I mean? And now everybody's doing the leg game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's coming back too.
And people are just not, they get into the game and they don't know when to stop. Like, you know, they'll heel hook somebody and they're like, they don't realize like 1 centimeter is all it takes.
You know, and that's one thing that I don't know if maybe listening to so much Joe Rogan or watching videos on YouTube or whatever, just like hearing it enough. Cause like, you know, like in our gym, we didn't do so much like the leg locks and stuff like that. But I would always hear in the podcast, like something about the heel hook. Like the heel hook, you don't feel the pain and then all of a sudden it just pops.
Yep.
So whenever like I was starting to do it, like I would just like, as soon as I would just catch the heel, like I just hold on to it real slow.
That's what
and then I would just let it go. I was like, I don't need the tap. I don't need none of that.
No.
You know what I mean?
You should. When you're training, you got to be good to your training partners. Even in a tournament, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we got to go to work the next day.
It's not the UFC.
Right? We're not getting paid.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but those are tough, like knee bars.
Yeah.
Those things they can cause serious injuries.
So is that like, do you think that's the most common for jiu-jitsu? Like overall, what you see the most of?
Shoulder and knee.
Shoulder and knee?
Shoulders and knees. I think probably shoulders are more common because when you start jiu-jitsu, what's the first thing you learn? What's the first submission you learn?
Oh, the arm bar. Yeah, everybody's...
No, not arm
triangles, arm bars.
No, Kimura.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the easiest. Yeah, Kimura's Americana.
Or the Americana.
Americana,
right?
Yeah. Get to mount and Americana. Yeah.
And that just screws over time because everybody does it from the time they're a white belt to the time. I do it all the time as a black belt now.
Right.
So, you know, you have, it's the longest journey. And it's just the wear and tear on that shoulder capsule is terrible.
Yeah.
We have 4 guys that I know of that have shoulder replacements that are under the age of 40.
Yeah.
In our gym.
Yeah, dude, I feel it a little bit. And just recently, like there's been some things where I lay down on my back and I have my feet up to kind of make a connection on the hips or whatever. And my leg will turn and I feel my knee slip a little bit. And I'm like,
yeah,
hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, you have laxity in there, man. That's something like there's not much you can do except physical therapy when you have laxity in your knee until
it's like strengthening it.
Yeah. Until something breaks, until something snaps.
Because it's just stretched at this point.
Right now it's stretched. So you just do
old and 40 something. That's what happened. That's what happened.
Did you play soccer or anything like that?
Football. I played football as a kid.
That'll do it.
Have you seen this? There's this guy on YouTube, knees over toes guy. Have you seen any of his stuff? So he does like all these, like, I guess his thing is he had one knee surgery, needed to get another knee replacement surgery, but he ended up doing all these workouts and different things to kind of strengthen his knees. Mm-hmm. But one of them is just like walking backwards on a treadmill and then doing like these tibial raise exercises or whatever. But I don't know if you had heard of it or.
I don't. I mean, it's interesting. The best thing you could do to avoid knee injuries is to have strong quads, strong hammies, and a strong calf.
Okay.
If you have those things, you're less likely to have a knee injury. You know?
Damn it.
Yeah, right.
So I gotta do more squats.
More squats, more deadlifts.
Shit. Yeah. No, I mean, and that was another thing, obviously, having you on is just, and I think everybody knows the answers. Like, you got to work out. Like, if you're doing this type of stuff, working out only benefits, doing jujitsu when somebody's cranking on your joints.
Exactly. So, yeah, you have to work out. If my wife is watching me, do as I say and not as I do.
Hey, we go through cycles.
That's right.
In life.
That's right. Yeah, man. Right now I'm on a fat phase. But like it's so important for your knees, quads, hammies and calves. And then for your shoulders, doing military presses, not too heavy.
Okay.
Strong traps, strong pecs, strong bicep.
Okay.
Those are the things that really help.
Yeah.
So yeah, get in shape, stay in shape, and I think jujitsu is one of these things where like you hear sometimes you hear people like that they'll do jujitsu to stay in shape, but it's tough, man. Like you kind of, and especially as you're getting older, it's like, man, and you gotta do something outside of jujitsu to just maintain. Jujitsu is really good for. It's good for endurance. It's good for
like your cardio and all
really
that.
Good for cardio. But it's not real good for strength training.
Yeah.
Right. You'll get strong at certain things.
Yeah.
But it's not good for overall, muscle hypertrophy.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like you're not going to see guys that just do jujitsu that are
like bodybuilder style.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And you don't want to be a bodybuilder to jujitsu.
No.
Anyway. But you just got to be well rounded.
Right.
Listen. If you can't do anything else but jujitsu, then just do the jujitsu, right? If you have the time to do all the things, do all the things.
Yeah, it helps definitely.
Right,
yeah.
But I would say don't work out, don't lift, and not do jujitsu.
Right.
Yeah, that's the key. Got to do jujitsu.
Yeah, got to get it in.
You got to do jujitsu. For all the guys out there that don't do jujitsu, probably not very many people listen to this.
Right?
Don't do
yeah, I don't think so.
Probably, but if you don't, get in the gym, do it.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Yeah, it's just something that kind of keeps me, balance. Like everywhere I go, I just try to find a place to train, especially like now, like we were talking about work and it's getting crazy. And that's been one of my favorite things is just kind of going someplace and finding a spot to go train somewhere.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I did it in Israel. I went to Israel.
Did you?
Yes. It was so much fun.
Dude, man. That's gotta be crazy. You know who else I heard? Eric Vogt.
Yeah.
He went like somewhere in Europe. So how was that? Like you trained in Israel?
I trained in Israel.
Dude, how was that?
It was the greatest. It was so cool because, first of all, I was in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
And the gym was right on the beach.
Oh, man.
It was so awesome.
Dude, that's crazy.
And I went in there and they were so gracious, like just like any jiu-jitsu gym. Everybody's super cool.
Yeah.
And I went in and they actually taught the class in English for me.
Wow.
Yeah, which was really cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This was actually February. This February would be 2 years ago. I think it could have been a year ago.
Okay.
Time just I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do well with time, but I was there during the war.
Okay.
The Israel Hamas war.
Okay.
And so I was already a black belt, and they were super cool, super respectful. Like, you know, they wanted to learn from me.
Yeah.
I was happy learning from them.
Yeah.
You know, and just talking to them about their lives. And most of them were in the military and there and everything. So it was
that's a cool experience.
Really cool experience. My wife, I bought a gi from them.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen my gi from there.
No.
It's bright orange. It looks like a prison jumpsuit.
Okay.
It's awesome.
I have to check it out. Yeah.
I'll have to wear it. Yeah.
Dude, that's cool. Yeah. Like whenever I go to a place, like a lot of places, I'll pick up a t-shirt or something. And how was, like, what did you go just one time, or was it a couple times?
I went a couple times.
A couple times? What'd you guys do?
I'm trying to remember. So he did like, we were doing some triangle exercises.
Okay.
And then we did some free roll.
Yeah.
One of the guys there was on the Israeli national judo team.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He was really cool to roll with.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Like, so we started on our feet, and I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
You're going to go for a ride.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had his gi on that said, like, you know, it had the Israeli flag on it. It has his name on it.
Oh, shit.
You know, like,
yeah.
Like, you know, legit.
Yeah.
He's black belt. And so we started standing. And the first thing, I don't know, you guys, everybody knows my game, but I grabbed the lapel. And I just sit back and pull guard with the lapel.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And he just kind of looked at me strange, like, the hell are you doing? Right. Yeah. And I was like, I sat back and I wrapped it around my leg and everything. I put him into like a lapel guard, and he had no idea what to do. So like the next 20 minutes, he's like, dude, you got to show me like what, because he couldn't get out. Like he couldn't pass my guard. He couldn't do anything.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. So, I mean, it's fun learning. And then I learned from him, like, you know, a bunch of throws and takedowns. Like,
yeah,
like,
that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been my, you know, my favorite part is just like you go somewhere and like you said, you do something that's just natural to you. Right. And like you said, for us, we see you do it. There's guys in our gym that we train with. Like there's a certain style, certain things that we develop that we're good at with our gyms. And when you go to a different place, you get to see like, oh, like this is what they do here. Yeah. Like there was a place in California that I go to that it was a lot more stand-up judo type stuff, like throwing. And I'm like, this is cool. Like we do it every once in a while, but it doesn't come around very often.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to know. I avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that, man. I can't get thrown. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, forget it. I would rather pull guard and have them pass my guard than to have them take me down for 2 points, you know, and that's not my game. Man.
Gotcha. Yeah.
No.
No, sometimes you look at, and yesterday was one of those days. I see this giant dude. I'm like, yeah, I'll just, come on, let's go. Let's get a hold of him, make some connections and not go for a ride.
Sit down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me, man. I'm way too old for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you looking at? Like, you're working a lot now, or are you in training?
So like I said, I'm 26 on, 26 off.
Okay. So,
on my weeks off, I try and go every day in the morning with Megan, with my wife. So she and I love training with Megan. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you ever rolled.
Dude, she's got an awesome class. I think we've trained a couple times. When I can. When I get the chance to during the day, I'll go to the morning class. Yeah.
She's so much fun to roll with. I love going with her. And I mean, it's marriage counseling, man. It's like, I mean, you know, it's marriage counseling. Like you can't stay mad. Like we could go in there and like, she could have just yelled at me or whatever. And as soon as we get in there and we roll, it's like, okay.
Yeah, we're good now.
It's all better. Yeah.
It's funny. Dude, my wife, like she trained a little bit and you ask her and she's like, I do jujitsu. I'm like, dude, you haven't been there in like a year and a half. You know, it's like, but when we're around the house, like if I give her my back, like she likes messing around like she does. Like she'll jump on me and try to choke me and shit. Yeah. But it's fun. It's funny.
I can't do that with Megan.
But you guys are two black belts in the house. That's a whole different that's a whole different thing.
It's crazy. So like she'll get a hold of something. I can't get her off, man. Like it's hard. It's hard. I'm not joking. Like
there was I remember hearing this story about Ronda Rousey and her mom. I guess her mom was
a judoka.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was like she'd be hiding behind the door and like Ronda Rousey come around the corner. She's like, just jump out. Like they just start throwing down.
That's
like,
awesome.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, it's not like that. But yeah, she'll get a hold of me and it's like, that's, you know, I'll give her a spot and I've learned you don't give her anything anymore.
Yeah.
She's tough.
She'll take advantage.
She's tough.
Yeah.
She's tough, man. She teaches a class too. Wednesday nights for women. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, any women. Yes.
Yeah. The Furious.
Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. Furious.
Yep.
Come out.
Make sure you check it out.
She's awesome.
Yeah. So, I had a question I wanted to ask you about certain injuries. Like there's some things that we do that, like you see sometimes somebody gets hurt and it's like, you better just leave that, like don't touch them, leave that alone. We better call somebody. But then there's some like, we need to pop that back in, or we need to do something. Or at least that's what the movies tell us.
Yeah, so it's never a good idea to pop things back in if you don't know if you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it. Best to just, if you're really concerned, take them to the ER right away. Like if it's something that you're like they're squirming around and like, take them to the ER.
Okay.
Don't try and fix things because you can make it worse.
Bite this towel.
Yeah, nah, you can make it worse.
Yeah.
There are certain guys in our gym that can do it. Certain things I can do. There's a guy, Tim Biker.
Yeah.
He was like an orthopedic PA. He can do a lot of really good things. Actually, February 1st. Is that a Saturday, February 1st?
No, I don't know.
I think it's February 1st at 8 a.m. at Carlos's gym.
Yeah, Saturday.
I don't know if this podcast will be out by then.
Yeah, it'll be out.
Okay, so February 1st, Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Before the 9 a.m. class, Tim Biker, Matt Marini, who's a surgeon, and myself, we're doing a first aid. For jiu-jitsu class for an hour.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, we just came up with it. So,
like you just did that right now? No, I'm just kidding.
And so
okay. Dude, that's awesome.
And in fact, so like my specialty, I do. So anesthesiologists are basically critical care doctors. Like it's when shit goes wrong. That's when you need me. Right. So somebody goes into cardiac arrest. Like that's my jam.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody, fractures their airway. That's my jam. Like,
okay.
Those are the things that I do. Those are the things that I'm good at.
Right.
So cardiac emergencies, that sort of stuff. So we're going to go over the AED. So we have an AED at our gym. I don't know if you guys have one at your gym.
I don't know. I have to find out.
Everybody should. I don't know. Did you hear the story at Tankino's gym?
No.
Oh, dude, you got to look this up.
Okay.
So a guy that I actually used to compete against a lot, he's whooped my ass a lot. Lightfoot.
Yeah, I think I've heard the name.
John Lightfoot.
Yeah.
He went into cardiac arrest at Tankino's gym.
Oh, man.
Just flatline. Dead. They happened to have a CRNA in there who was a nurse anesthetist who recognized it, had a defibrillator in his car.
Holy shit.
Brought it in, shocked him back into rhythm, and saved his life.
Dude, that's
It was
crazy.
on the news. You look it up.
No, I didn't see it,
Yeah, channel 3 news, whatever. Just type that in, like jiu-jitsu gym cardiac arrest. Google that or something. It'll come up. It's a story.
Yeah.
But anyway, since then, like as soon as that happened, I made sure we got one of those AEDs, so the defibrillators for our gym.
Okay.
Every gym should have it.
Okay.
Every gym should have it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have them. We'll have to look it up. I know I don't know if you know the McDojo Life on YouTube. I had him on the podcast, and he was talking about he's got a program where they also like they're trying to get defibrillators and all the different gyms and stuff.
So you got to. It's not good enough to just have it.
Yeah, you got to know.
Got to know how to use it.
Right.
So that's what I'm teaching everybody is like if something happens, this is how you use the AD. Pull it out.
Dude,
open the package. This is where this goes. This is where this goes.
Yeah, February 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody that's part of the gym or wants to know how to use that.
And anybody who coaches has to be there.
Okay.
Right? Because there's always a coach there.
Dude, next week.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So yeah, we're trying to do that to, increase safety and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We don't want anybody dying.
Yeah. No, so we were talking about like the joints and the shoulders. I remember there was I was watching. Oh, the dude just fought. Yuri Prohaska. You see you watch the UFC fights?
That dude's awesome,
dude. He's a freaking animal. The samurai. That dude's
crazy.
An animal.
He's crazy. The haircut.
But yeah, yeah. He shaved it all off. You see it for the girl. I didn't. So I guess this last fight, he usually has the crazy hair. But there's a girl that she has cancer, and when she was going through her treatment, she ended up shaving her head like his. So, and then she was like a big fan and sent him some stuff, but I guess she ended up having to shave her head completely. So he ended up shaving his head, and then he flew her out to the last fight and then won by knockout. So it was pretty awesome. But Yuri, his last fight, I think he was going to fight for a title, and he ended up having to pull out because he had a shoulder injury, and it was one of those things at the gym that somebody went to go put it back in or do something.
Yeah.
And then I guess one of the UFC guys called Dana White, and he was like, that was like one of the worst shoulder injuries he had ever seen after they did whatever they did to it. And yeah, it sidelined him for, I don't know how long.
You can't, like, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Bring it to an expert. Like that's what you've got to do. When I was a medical student in Philadelphia, I was doing my emergency department rotation as a fourth year, and they brought a guy in who dislocated his shoulder, and the third year orthopedic resident grabbed me, and he's like, "We're gonna go put this shoulder back in," and I'm a stupid medical student. Like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So it's called a 2-sheet method, where you grab one end on his torso and pull, and like the other guy pulls the arm, and anyway, it turns out nobody knew, and he didn't tell us, the patient, but he was an NBA player.
Oh shit!
And he was in Philly for summer league, and I forget his last name now. But anyway, he never played again.
Oh man,
yeah,
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because of his shoulder or what, but
yeah,
like he never played again.
Damn.
Rose, last name was Rose.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know,
dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So just leave that stuff. Take it to the pros.
Yeah. Don't like that. And that was in an emergency room, right? Like that is supposedly were the pros, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
As a fourth year medical student.
Crazy.
And he didn't identify himself as an NBA player. If he had, nobody would have touched it.
Yeah.
And they would have called
get somebody,
a surgeon in, and
right.
But yeah, don't try and
because he needs that shoulder for different things.
Right. Like that's his moneymaker.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but don't try and fix things, because you can make it worse. You could really make things worse. So don't.
So have you ever had to like do anything, like do any type of medical stuff while you're training jiu-jitsu at all?
I mean, other than, reassuring
just
people.
Looking at something and be like,
fine, or maybe you should go get this looked at, but nothing like life-saving.
Yeah.
Nothing
major.
Like what they did over at Tenkino's.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dude. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Dude, that's
like I see that at work all the time, and it's like, to me, it's nothing. It's old hat. It's easy. We do it all the time. But
right.
You're in a jiu-jitsu gym. Like everybody's supposedly in shape. Like you don't expect somebody to drop dead on the mat.
Right. Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I hope I never see that at jiu-jitsu. But you got to be prepared for it.
Yeah. So, have you ran into any situations outside of work because that kind of stuff comes up from time to time? Yeah.
I mean, I've seen car accidents where you stop and you're like, I don't have to. I mean, I don't have to. You don't have to. I don't have to. I'm not like obligated to stop, but I do.
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff on the road. I'm sure everybody has, but like crazy stuff.
Dude, so when I was before we started the podcast, I was kind of looking up some stuff because I wanted to look up like the most common jiu-jitsu injuries, and I think we talked about the most common ones so far. The hands, the necks, the elbows, the shoulders, the knees. But I actually found something that was a website that was actually pretty interesting, and it's from the NIH.
Okay.
Which
National Institute of Health.
Yeah, Institutes of Health. As soon as I read it, I was like, didn't they pay for like the COVID stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm like, they gotta taint, like, dude, this whole life is crazy. But so even though that may be a thing, dude, the article looks incredible. Like there was some information, like it talks about specific injuries, like the studies that they did, like how to train with the injuries, like when to come back from training. It had all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you.
Send it to me. You should send it to me before so I could comment on it.
It's NIH, and it's called Injuries Common to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Practitioner.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so check it out. I just found it a little while ago, but it even has like it's got a bunch of like questions, like the questionnaires that they asked them, but it had a chart, like percentages of injuries, but it had a chart of all the different types of injuries that people have.
Oh, let's see. Were we accurate? Let's take a look.
So you can kind of
shoulders and knees.
Yeah, shoulders. You can see the percentages there. It's like 40 something.
Upper back, the lower back is a big one. 61%.
I think the knee was a big one. Yeah.
And let's see, shoulder 48%. Those are definitely the two biggest.
Yeah.
Yep, those are the two. Oh, except fingers, but fingers are fingers, man. You don't really need them.
Yeah, you tape them together and keep them. Dude, just recently I had this one fat ring finger, and I
can't even wear a wedding ring anymore, man.
Yeah, I had to move it over.
I wear it around my neck.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I wear the silicone ones, Like, but I hate those.
Dude, at a certain point, you just like, yeah, they just get all mangled.
Don't line up anymore, man.
You got the black belt fingers, yeah.
Just whatever.
But so the no-gi, at least for the fingers, no-gi is like seems you don't have to worry about.
It's less because you're not grabbing lapel and then snapping it out. Like this, all these injuries are from people snapping lapels out of your fingers.
Oh my God, the pain of somebody, like of you having a good grip and somebody getting a good freaking grip on the lapel. Oh my God.
Oh, it's the worst. That's why I started using the lapel guard, because the back of your knee is friction. So
they can't rip it out like that.
It's a lot harder to rip out.
Yeah, dude. There was a couple where I had been training for a little, like a decent period, like straight. And my hands were just kind of like sore or whatever. And I was somewhere and I grabbed this dude and I had a nice grip and he just freaking like, I don't know if he grabbed my sleeve and then grabbed it. And he did one of those where he pulled my hand and ripped with the other one. And it was just like, oh my God.
It's the worst. Parker, God, he's the worst at that.
Yeah.
You ever roll with Parker?
Yeah.
And he lets you take his back.
Yeah.
Like
he would get up and turtle. Yeah.
You'll get a good grip, like cross grip across his neck. And then he just takes his lapel. As you're choking him, he'll take his lapel out. He'll bring it up and then he'll just snap it down like that. And it just mangles your fingers.
Dude. Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah, fingers suck. But again, nothing you can do. Like, just nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Knees, not something to be played with.
Yeah.
Shoulders, not something to be played with.
Yeah. So for you, what are your, I mean, you've obviously at black belt, you've been through your own set of injuries. What's been your worst injury that you've had to work through?
So the worst injury, I was at Pans in, I don't remember the year. I'm so bad with years, man. But I had a guy, I was in side control bottom, and I took my leg that's once closest to him, and I threw it up over his neck to snap him down to get his pressure off me, and my hamstring snapped right off of my pelvis.
Oh my!
Yeah, it was the worst. It was during COVID, so it must have been 2020, maybe 2020. Wow! But it was because it was COVID. Everything was televised. You know, they put it on Flow Grappling or whatever.
Yeah.
And after the fight, which I couldn't move after it, I finished the round, but I lost. I stood up and they raised the guy's hand, and then, you know, you turn 180 degrees, they raise the guy's hand. Well, I had my hand up in my ass crack. Just holding. It hurt so bad. And my wife, I got home because it was in Florida and kissing me. So we were staying at a hotel at Disney. Yeah. And she was with the kids when I was rolling. And then the next day she was going. So I was with the kids and she was going. We were watching it on our phones and everything. Yeah. And she's like she called me. She's like, "What are you doing? Why is your hand in your ass?" Like it's like on TV. She doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. That was the worst. Dude. So I had to have surgery, man. They had to, reattach it and everything.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
That was a really bad, painful surgery.
Man, yeah, one of that reminds me of Chris. He's been on the podcast, Chris Howard, from Veterans Breakthrough. Yeah. He was talking about, I think, similar, maybe at World Masters or something. He had snapped his bicep or something like that. Yeah, that's the worst. Those are they look terrible. Like everything just kind of balls up, and that's what happened. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you a picture, man. The whole back of my leg was black and blue and swollen. Crazy. Yeah. So you know what? That actually brings up something. I'm a blue belt now, and I'm taking my sweet time through my jiu-jitsu journey. That's it is what, like, I'm enjoying it. It is what it is. That's okay. But you know what? I was looking at something, reading something somewhere, and I remember seeing like from like kind of like what the different belts are, what they mean, or the whatever. Right. One of these things. But it was saying like from blue belt to purple belt is like where you find out if you really do love this thing or not. Absolutely. And I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, dude, I think that might be true, because like once, like first of all, most people aren't going to start this thing, or a lot of people start and then they stop, Go ahead.
Well, most people quit at blue belt. Yeah. A huge majority quit at blue belt. There's a certain, I don't know the percentage, but they say that if you get your purple belt, you are like 100 times more likely to get your black belt. Right. Yeah. Than if you're blue belt. Blue belt's like, it's like 30% chance to get your black belt. Yeah. Once you hit purple, you keep going.
Yeah. It's like the meme, the blue belts disappear, or the blue belt blues and all that. Yeah. But, one thing that I was kind of thinking also was with all these injuries and stuff, like when you're getting to purple belt, brown belt, like you're also at this point, you've probably accumulated a couple injuries and you've had to sit out for a few weeks or if not a couple months. And like, you really do have to think about,
do I like this?
Do I want to come back and start? Because dude, it's hard coming back and starting, like feeling like you're starting again from, you know, shit, I was just making progress and now I'm getting beat up again. But dude, yeah. Cause like right now I've been training for a little bit and like, I think about it, it's like, it's only inevitable until something happens and I have to sit for a little bit.
It's true.
And what is my mindset going to be then, you know? And if you really do want to do it, you really do like it, then you just take it step by step and come back.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways I think to look at it, but the way my wife did it, I know I keep talking about my wife, but she's the best. So she tore both her ACLs.
Wow.
Not at the same time. She tore one.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she went on a tear, winning every tournament, and then she tore it again. And I mean, she was really depressed.
Yeah.
That's a tough injury. That's a tough surgery. It's a tough rehab. Like it's a tough. But what she used to do was she would, like, after the initial, like she couldn't roll yet. Like there's 6 to 9 months where you just can't roll after an ACL.
Yeah.
She would get up in the morning and she would go to class and she would watch and she would learn and she would, you know, so she wouldn't take that biggest step back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she would go in there and she would, like, that's how you know you love the sport.
Yeah.
When you know what I mean? Like you go in there, you can't roll, but you're watching and you're watching the technique and so, I mean, that's a good way to stay involved, even though you can't be involved.
No, you know what? You say that. And for me, when I was new, and it might have been the rib injury because I really couldn't do much. And it was like one of these things that my kids had already been doing it for like a year or a year and a half. Now I'm like 3 months or, 5 months in or whatever. And I got this rib and I feel like I was just getting started and now I got to sit out. And I did the same thing. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put my gi on and go to class. And I was like, I can't even do the technique a lot of times because it hurts too much. I was like, but I'll just sit here and like try to see what the hell they're doing. Yeah. See if it makes sense in my mind, and just stay connected.
A lot of it is in your mind. Like a lot of it is like, visualizing the move, much more than doing it.
Yeah.
If you can figure it out visually, then actually doing it is a lot easier.
Right. And especially, and then once you start putting it all together, there's times where you can see something and you're like, I can see what they're trying to do. And then you just try it and it's like, holy shit, that worked.
Right. I remember really, really early on doing tournaments and watching Coach Carlos, coaching people.
Yeah.
And he would always be like, Amba. And you're like, how you get an arm bar from there? But you can.
Yeah.
I mean? Like you start to see what he's seeing as you go further on. You're like, oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're like, when you're young and he says, do armbar, you're like, armbar?
Yeah.
From
I don't
here,
even
like, I'm on my belly. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, then you don't even notice the arm that's hanging out or what. Right. And then, you know what? I think that one of my last tournaments that happened, it was George. He was telling me something and on the way home, I lost that one. Yeah. on the way home, I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. That's what he meant. Yeah. That's what he was telling. I was like, damn it. That's usually how it goes.
It's even worse when you have a video of it.
Right.
Like, I can't believe I didn't see
it. It was right there.
Yeah, it was right there.
Damn it. But you know what? You'll remember that for next time.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. That's what the saying is, either you learn. Yeah. Right? Either you win or you learn.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
yeah.
Win or learn. And if you lose, you're not losing, you're learning.
Yeah.
For sure. Like if you look at it that way, like there's guys in the gym, they normally never last. But it's the guys that come in and they need to beat everybody. Yeah. And they don't tap and they don't, like, you're not going to last.
Dude, that's another, I'm glad you brought that up. Not tapping. As far as getting injured in jiu-jitsu, dude.
It's bad.
Like, leave that shit at home.
Yeah. Listen, I was guilty of it for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like, really long time. I was I was known as one of those guys that just won't do it. I won't do it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Maybe in a tournament.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that at home. Like, you just look like an idiot.
Dude, you know what? Even yesterday, and now, this wasn't even like a don't tap. I mean, I ended up tapping. So yesterday, I had this one dude. He had me like in a front headlock, position.
Yeah.
And, but he was big. He was real big. Way bigger than me. But he was kind of like turning me over, but I had like my base out, and I could feel like I'm kind of based out. I have my elbows down. I was like, I'm pretty solid here. Right. But he's still like twisting my back, and I'm like, he's not doing anything to me. I was like, I don't want to roll over and have this dude on top of me. I was like, but this doesn't, I don't think this is good for my back. So I ended up just tapping. But then I thought about it. I was like, I should have just went to my back and then fought off of my back. And, you know.
But there's no shame.
Yeah, no,
there's no ego.
No, and that's the thing is I ended up tapping and I'm like, my back doesn't bend that way. I was like, I had enough of that.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. It's totally fine.
It's a hobby, dude. I have a job.
Yeah,
you know, it's
100%.
like
me too.
Like I'm not gonna go fight Khabib or anybody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, I remember tapping to pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're like, I just don't like this.
Yeah,
you know, like,
get him off of me.
Yeah, get off. We'll start again.
I've had enough of this.
Yeah, yeah. So there's no shame in it. Although, even though there's gonna be people who will see this or listen to it, are gonna be like, "You're a dick. You were that guy." And it's true. I was.
No, I think it takes time, maybe eventually, because I think sometimes even if you're not that guy, like it's gonna come a point where you fight a kid, and you don't want to tap because it's a kid.
Yeah.
And guess what? They will put your ass to sleep.
For sure.
You know what I mean? You have no choice.
Yeah.
You have no choice. They're going to, what was it? Jack? Was it Jack? Dude, he was a kid and then eventually he was just like beating the shit out of me. You know? And it's like, it doesn't matter what I want to do.
He's not a kid.
I mean, but at that time he was he's a man now.
Child. And
holy shit.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. But yeah, so with being a black belt and going to medical school, you weren't a black belt while you were practicing jiu-jitsu during that time and all that?
I started in 2000. I was already a doctor.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. I graduated medical school in 98.
Oh, so, damn. Okay.
But I'm old.
So you picked it up afterward?
So I started when I was a resident after medical school.
Okay.
But it's funny. I don't know. Were you there at my black belt ceremony? I don't know.
I don't think I was there. No.
Roberto Travin was in. Like.
Oh no, I wasn't there.
It was awesome. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Travin gave me my black belt, which is really cool.
Dude, nice.
But you give a speech and everything, and I remember saying like, you get caught up in the moment,
right?
You know what I mean? Like you're giving a speech, and I was like, I'm a doctor. I went to medical school, residency.
Yeah.
I was like, this was harder to get my black belt.
Dude,
and I'm more proud of getting my black belt.
Yeah.
Than it was to get my medical degree.
Dude, that's crazy.
And it's in a way it's true. My wife was like, stop. There's kids out here. Don't tell them. Don't drop out of school.
Doctors.
Yeah, go to school. Don't drop out of school. Like,
yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, dude, that's.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to get your black belt, man.
Yeah.
It's hard. And then a lot of people, like, I remember when I was like a blue belt and I would go to like these black belt ceremonies whenever, and everybody's like, they get up there and you think they're being like fake humble. And they're like, this is just the beginning of the journey. I'm a black belt, but I'm just really learning. And you're like, you're a black belt.
Yeah.
Like, don't talk to me about you're still learning. But it's not fake humility. Yeah. Like you get up there and you're like, I still don't know. Like I'm a black belt and I'll go against coach.
Yeah.
And I'll get my ass whooped 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
You're like, there's levels to this game. You are still learning.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, that was a funny story. And I was like, I'm more proud of this, and this was way harder. And she's like, stop.
Chill. There's kids out here.
There's kids here. They need to stay in school. Stay in school.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way. Like this is just like enjoying the journey. There's something about like that, like what you just mentioned. I've noticed that kind of like just with life. Like the more you learn about stuff, the more you learn that there's
way more
out there. It's like, holy shit. You just start scratching. It's like, holy shit, there's way more out here.
Yeah.
Like go start learning about space.
Oh my God.
And see where that takes you.
It blows my mind.
You know what? Not related to jiu-jitsu or any of this stuff, but the first time I think I remember I had that feeling. Well, so my daughter, who also does jiu-jitsu, so it's jiu-jitsu related, but we bought her this little telescope. It was just this cheap thing on Amazon because she had dolls and all this other shit, and she had a little bit of money, and I was like, you know what? Instead of buying another Barbie or some other crap, why don't we get you a telescope? Use your money, I'll pay the difference, and we'll get you that. So, and it was this little cheap, I think it was like $70.
Right.
I set it up and I had the app where I can kind of see like where the stars are, and I was like, okay, that's Saturn. And with this cheap $70 telescope, like we lined it up and then it's like kind of blurry, and I'm like focusing my eyes, and I'm like, dude, I think those are the rings.
You could see the rings, yes.
Dude, it fucking blew my mind. I was like, that's the like in the book.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw that on a telescope. It was amazing.
On a shitty telescope, and then all that wanted to do was just like get a better one and like see it better. Like, dude, that's crazy.
I like it. I go down these rabbit holes, man. Like on YouTube, and I'll what's that guy's name? Tyson.
Neil deGrasse.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
And you start listening to his and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, and you just want more and more. And 4 hours later,
yeah, dude.
You know less 4 hours later than you knew 4 hours ago.
You got more questions now.
Exactly.
It's freaking nuts, man.
Yeah, that guy's really cool.
Yeah.
I hate his politics, but
he's
super bright.
Yeah,
guy.
he goes off on some stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've done that with the martial arts. Like, I was trying to look up one time, like, what is like the oldest martial arts? I guess like the oldest one is like from India somewhere. I think it was called Kalari or something. But like that's like the oldest recorded one, and then from there it went to Asia, and they started kung fu and all this other kind of stuff. But yeah, you can go down rabbit holes on.
Oh my god,
on everything.
Yeah, I think that's how jiu-jitsu started somewhere in India, like where the monks were like breaking cadavers' arms and stuff.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah,
sounds freaking nuts.
I don't know.
Look
it up.
Yeah, I know it was like part of judo, and then like it was like the ground fighting for the samurais, and I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
that's the greatest sport. I love it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, there's nothing. Actually, it's funny. My mom and my daughter were talking. Like, there's this boy that she was talking to or something. She's like, oh, he did some kind of martial arts before, and I was like, did he do any of the wrong ones? And my mom starts laughing.
Yeah, most of them are the wrong ones.
Yeah, most.
Yeah, it's true.
No, but you got the ones that work, and then you got all the other ones.
Right. I think like people don't put enough, give enough respect to the ones that are martial arts, but they don't consider martial arts, like wrestling.
Yeah, it's a weird one, right?
Wrestling and boxing.
Boxing? How is boxing not
considered martial arts?
They're gonna give you belts in boxing, and that'd be kind of weird, but yeah.
But I mean, to me, those are two of the most effective forms of
kickboxing, Thai boxing, like it's
Muay Thai, like it's all that stuff is like there's Taekwondo and Tang Soo Do and all these other, like, you're doing basically a dance.
One thing that I also would always find kind of weird is, like, in boxing, if you're watching somebody this weekend, you're watching a fight.
Yeah.
Right. But in jiu-jitsu, if it's grappling, it's like I'm watching a jiu-jitsu match. Or like if we say I'm competing this weekend.
Yeah.
Some people will say I have a fight.
Yeah.
But like most people will say I have a match, or I have a tournament, or I have something. And it's like, it's weird that you wouldn't, that some people even have a feeling about it. It's like, oh, that's not fighting. And it's like, well,
it is.
It's part of fighting.
It's fighting.
Because if we are in a real fight and I grab you, it's fighting.
Yeah. And when you go to sleep, you're really going to sleep.
Right? So
there's did you hear about the guy that showed up at Carlos's place? You had to hear this story.
Yes.
Where Leo
remind me again. Yes,
so
I did.
Some guy comes in. I don't know if he was drunk or what, but he walks in and he's like, I can kick your ass. This is, what is this playground stuff, whatever it is.
Oh man.
And I think Dave Lindleaf was teaching the class that night. Carlos wasn't there. And Leo kind of, Leo.
Yeah.
He's like soft-spoken, like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
And he goes over to him. He's like, hey, man, this isn't
also the World Masters gold champion.
Also, he's a world champion. But soft-spoken, purple belt, like goes to the guy, hey, man, this isn't the place for this, whatever. He's like, oh, kept on going. He goes, oh, he looked, Leo says, I looked at Dave Lindleaf and I was like, can I? And Lindleaf goes, go ahead.
Oh,
and he brought him out and said, take your shoes off. We're going to do this the right way. Come on out. And he just put him on his ass and just submitted him like 5 times.
Just like in the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Dude,
like,
crazy.
So if you think it's not real, it's real.
Find out.
It works. Yeah. For sure. So that was a great story. If you ever get Leo, tell that story.
Yeah, for sure.
So funny.
Dude, I got to get him on. Yeah.
So funny.
No, and like you said, he's awesome to roll with. And that's the thing is, like, you have that, but it's always just like at the end of the roll, we beat the shit out of each other, and it's like a smile.
Yeah, let's grab a beer.
Yeah,
whatever.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's the greatest sport, man. Yeah. I think. I mean, I'm sure there's other things like it, but I don't know of them.
There's not many.
Yeah, I don't know of them.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, thanks for being on. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
It's been fun. Yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime, and definitely at one of the other grand openings or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And if y'all have questions, like medical questions, you know, I know you know somebody who knows me or you know me personally, just ask. Come up, ask me. I'll put you in touch with the right people. Do not go to your primary care. Do not fix it yourself. Do not live with it. I can help.
Yeah, send us a message. You can get a hold of me and we can get you some information or whatever. Come out to our gyms if you guys are in Arizona.
Yeah, man.
Come and check out Carlos Farias. Check out Revive, Patriot Martial Arts. You know, come check out our schools. But yeah, thanks again, brother. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome.
Bye.